Captain Jake Miller stared out the window of his small ship as Nexus Prime came into view. The massive space station looked like a crystal city floating in the darkness. Lights sparkled along its curved walls, and ships moved around it like tiny insects. Jake had never seen anything so beautiful or so scary. "First time seeing a Federation station?" asked Dr. Lisa Park from the seat next to him. She was Earth's smartest scientist, but even she looked nervous. "Yeah," Jake said. "Makes our space stations look like tin cans." Lisa laughed, but it sounded forced. "That's probably what they think about all our stuff." Jake knew she was right. For 6 months, Earth had been talking with the Galactic Federation. 12 different alien races had been traveling between stars for thousands of years. They had technology that seemed like magic. And now, Earth was finally invited to show what humans could do. The problem was, human technology looked pretty basic compared to alien tech. Their ship docked with a soft bump. Jake felt his stomach turn as artificial gravity kicked in. The airlock opened with a hiss and they stepped into Nexus Prime. The hallway was enormous. The ceiling rose high above them and the walls glowed with soft light. Aliens walked past, them some floating, others walking on multiple legs. A few looked almost human, but most were very different. "Welcome to Nexus Prime," said a voice behind them. They turned to see a tall, thin alien with blue skin and 4 arms. "I am Ambassador Crix of the Zenthari. We have been waiting to meet Earth's representatives." Jake tried not to stare. The alien's voice came from a device around its neck, translating its words into English. "Thank you for having us," Lisa said, stepping forward. "I'm Dr. Lisa Park, and this is Captain Jake Miller." Ambassador Crix nodded with what might have been a smile. "Come. The Council is eager to see what Earth has brought." They followed the ambassador through halls filled with technology Jake couldn't understand. Walls that showed moving pictures, floors that felt warm under their feet, and air that smelled like flowers. Everything was perfect and clean. They entered a large room where aliens sat in a circle. Some floated in the air. Others sat on strange chairs. In the center was a table where Jake and Lisa were supposed to show Earth's technology. "Begin when ready," Ambassador Crick said, taking his place with the others. Lisa opened the first case. Inside were examples of human technology. A laptop computer, a cell phone, some tools, and other things that represented Earth's best work. "This is our portable computing device," Lisa said, holding up the laptop. "It can perform millions of calculations per second." One of the aliens made a sound that the translator turned into laughter. "Millions? Our personal devices perform trillions of calculations in the same time." Lisa's face turned red, but she continued. "This communication device can connect people anywhere on our planet." She held up the cell phone. Another alien spoke up. This one had gray skin and large eyes. "We communicate across entire star systems instantly. Your device requires towers and signals that travel slowly." Jake watched Lisa's confidence shrink with each comment. The aliens weren't being mean, exactly, but they clearly thought human technology was like children's toys. "Perhaps you could show us your vehicles?" Ambassador Crix asked politely. Lisa pulled out a model of Earth's newest spaceship. "This represents our fastest spacecraft. It uses chemical rockets and can reach nearby planets in our solar system." The gray-skinned alien leaned forward. "Chemical combustion? We stopped using such methods thousands of years ago. Do you still burn wood for heat as well?" More sounds that translated as laughter filled the room. A new voice spoke from across the circle. Jake turned to see an alien that looked like it was made of metal and crystal. Its voice was deep and cold. "I am Commander Zekthul of the Valian Empire," it said. "Show us your weapons. Surely Earth's military technology is more advanced than these toys." Lisa's hands shook as she opened the weapons case. Inside were examples of human firearms, explosives, and armor. "These are our standard infantry weapons," she said, holding up an assault rifle. "They fire metal projectiles at high speed." Commander Zekthul made a sound like grinding metal. "Metal projectiles? Kinetic weapons? We use energy beams that can cut through any material. Our shields stop such primitive attacks easily." Jake felt anger building in his chest. These aliens were treating Lisa like she was stupid and treating all of humanity like cavemen. "What about your defenses?" another alien asked. "How do you protect your cities?" Lisa showed them pictures of missile defense systems and military bases. The aliens looked at each other and made more sounds of amusement. "Concrete and steel?" Commander Zekthul said. "Our cities are protected by energy barriers. Physical walls are useless against modern weapons." Jake couldn't stay quiet anymore. "Maybe our stuff looks basic to you," he said, standing up. "But it works. It's reliable. When something breaks, we can fix it." The room went quiet. All the aliens turned to look at him. "Fix it?" Ambassador Crix asked. "Why would technology break? Our systems are perfect. They do not require fixing." "Nothing's perfect," Jake said. "Everything breaks eventually. The question is whether you can get it working again." Lisa pulled out a roll of silver tape. "This is duct tape," she said. "Humans use it to fix almost anything. It sticks to any surface and holds tight." The alien stared at the tape like it was some kind of puzzle. "You repair technology with adhesive strips?" the gray alien asked. "Sometimes," Lisa said, gaining confidence. "We also use wire, spare parts, and creative thinking. Human engineers can fix anything with enough time and the right materials." Commander Zekthul leaned back in his chair. "Fascinating. Your technology requires constant maintenance because it is poorly designed." "No," Jake said firmly. "Our technology is designed to be fixed because we know things go wrong. You're perfect. Systems probably fall apart the moment something unexpected happens." The room grew cold and quiet. Jake realized he might have gone too far. Ambassador Crix stood up slowly. "The Council will consider Earth's unique approach to technology. We will discuss membership in the Federation and return with our decision." As the aliens filed out of the room, Jake heard them talking quietly to each other. He couldn't understand their languages, but their tone was clear. They thought humans were primitive fools. "Well," Lisa said, packing up their equipment. "That could have gone better." Jake helped her close the cases. "Maybe. But I meant what I said. When their perfect technology breaks down, they're going to wish they had some duct tape." 6 months had passed since the meeting at Nexus Prime. Earth was now a junior member of the Galactic Federation, which meant humans could trade with aliens and learn their technology. But it also meant following Federation rules and accepting that Earth was considered the least advanced world in the galaxy. Engineer Pete Johnson wiped sweat from his forehead as he worked on the new power grid in Chicago. The Federation had given Earth plans for quantum energy systems to replace the old electrical grid. The alien technology was supposed to be much better than anything humans had built. "This doesn't make sense," Pete muttered, looking at his tablet. The quantum generator was showing error codes he had never seen before. His assistant, a young man named Kevin Lee, looked up from his own work. "What's wrong?" "The quantum core keeps shutting down for no reason," Pete said. "According to the alien manual, this should never happen. The system is supposed to be perfect." Kevin walked over and looked at the readings. He was only 25, but he understood technology better than most people twice his age. "Maybe we're doing something wrong." Pete shook his head. "I followed their instructions exactly. Every wire, every connection, everything is perfect, but it still won't stay online for more than a few hours." Across the city, similar problems were happening at other construction sites. The alien technology worked for a while, then suddenly stopped. Human engineers were getting frustrated, but they kept trying because the Federation said their systems were flawless. Meanwhile, in space, General Amy Rodriguez was dealing with bigger problems. She was on a Federation military ship, learning how their defense systems worked. Earth was supposed to upgrade its military with alien weapons and shields. General Rodriguez called Commander Zekthul from across the bridge. "Your presence is required at the main console." Amy walked over to where the Valian commander stood. His metal and crystal body reflected the lights from the ship's displays. "We have received reports from multiple Federation worlds," he said. "There are technical problems occurring across several systems." Amy looked at the display screen. It showed a map of Federation space with red dots marking problem areas. "What kind of problems?" "System failures, power outages, communication, breakdowns." Commander Zekthul's voice sounded annoyed. These issues began shortly after Earth joined the Federation. Amy felt her stomach drop. "Are you saying this is our fault?" "The timing is suspicious," the commander replied. "Human technology may be contaminating our systems somehow." Before Amy could respond, alarms started going off throughout the ship. The lights flickered and several displays went dark. "What's happening?" Amy asked. A Zenthari officer called out from his station. "Quantum Computer Core is experiencing cascade errors. All systems are shutting down." Commander Zekthul moved quickly to the emergency controls. "Switch to backup systems immediately." Amy watched as the aliens worked frantically to restore power. Their perfect technology was failing, and they looked scared. Back on Earth, Kevin Lee was starting to notice a pattern. He had spent the last week visiting different construction sites where alien technology was being installed. At every location, the same thing was happening. The quantum systems would work perfectly for a few hours, then crash. "Pete," Kevin said, walking into the Chicago power station. "I think I know what's causing the problems." Pete looked up from a pile of alien instruction manuals. He looked tired and frustrated. "Please tell me you have good news." Kevin pulled out his laptop and showed Pete a chart. "I've been measuring electromagnetic radiation at all the sites where alien tech is failing. Look at this." The chart showed waves of radio signals, cell phone towers, Wi-Fi networks, and all the other electromagnetic noise that surrounded human cities. "So what?" Pete asked. "There's radio waves everywhere. That's normal." "That's exactly the point," Kevin said excitedly. "It's normal for us, but the aliens don't use electromagnetic technology like we do. Their quantum systems aren't designed to work around all this radio noise." Pete stared at the chart. "Are you saying our radio waves are breaking their computers?" "I think so. Every time I measure high electromagnetic activity, the quantum systems fail shortly after." Pete sat down heavily in his chair. "But radio waves are everywhere on Earth. We can't just turn them off." Kevin nodded. "And it gets worse. I think the problem is spreading to their other worlds through their quantum communication network." Meanwhile, on the Federation ship, Amy was watching the aliens try to figure out what was wrong with their systems. They had restored basic power, but many functions were still offline. "Commander," she said to Zekthul, "can I make a suggestion?" Phalion turned his large head toward her. "What could a human possibly suggest that our engineers have not considered?" Amy tried not to get angry at his tone. "Back home, when our computers crash, we sometimes go back to simpler systems while we figure out the problem. Do you have any non-quantum backup systems?" Commander Zekthul made a sound like grinding metal, which Amy had learned was Valian laughter. "Non-quantum systems? That would be like suggesting we use stone tools. We abandoned such primitive technology centuries ago. But if your advanced systems aren't working," Amy started to say. "They will work," the commander interrupted. "Our technology is perfect. There must be some external interference causing these temporary problems." As if to prove his point, the lights flickered again and more alarms started ringing. On the planet Zenthari Prime, the most advanced world in the Federation, similar scenes were playing out. The capital city's power grid had gone offline 3 times in the past week. Transportation systems were failing. Even the weather control network was having problems. Ambassador Crix stood in the emergency command center, watching his people try to restore order to their perfect city. For the first time in his long life, he was seeing Federation technology fail on a massive scale. "Sir," called one of his assistants, "we're receiving similar reports from Valian Space and the Nexus stations. The quantum networks are experiencing synchronized failures." Crix felt something he had never experienced before: doubt. The Federation's technology had never failed like this. Their systems were supposed to be beyond such problems. Back on Earth, Kevin Lee was working late in his small apartment. trying to understand what was happening. He had data from power grids, communication networks, and even some Federation ships that had visited Earth's solar system. The pattern was clear. Wherever human electromagnetic technology existed, alien quantum systems became unstable. And because the aliens had connected all their technology across multiple star systems, the problems were spreading like a disease through their networks. Kevin picked up his phone and called Pete Johnson. "Pete, you need to see this," he said. When his boss answered, "I think we're not just breaking their technology on Earth, we might be causing failures across the entire Federation." There was silence on the other end of the line. "Kevin," Pete finally said, "if that's true, we might be in serious trouble. They could kick us out of the Federation or worse." Kevin looked at his data again. The electromagnetic signatures of human civilization were everywhere. Radio towers, satellites, cell phones, Wi-Fi networks, and thousands of other devices that created the electronic noise humans lived with every day. "There's something else," Kevin said quietly. "The failures are getting worse. Each time their systems crash and restart, they become more unstable. If this continues..." "What?" Pete asked. Kevin stared at his computer screen, hardly believing what the data was telling him. If this continues, their entire technological civilization might collapse. The emergency meeting was called at 3 a.m, Earth time. Dr. Sam Carter rushed into the Federation Command Center on Nexus Prime, still wearing his pajamas under his lab coat. He had been sleeping when the call came, but nobody was sleeping anymore. "How bad is it?" Sam asked Admiral Chris Murphy, who was staring at a wall of screens showing Federation space. "Bad," the Admiral replied. 3 major worlds have lost their primary power grids. The Valian homeworld went dark 4 hours ago. Centauri Prime is running on emergency power only. Sam looked at the displays. Red warning lights covered the map like a disease spreading through the galaxy. "And it's all connected to our electromagnetic signals?" "That's what the kid figured out," Admiral Murphy said, pointing to Kevin Lee, who sat at a computer terminal looking exhausted. "Kevin, tell the doctor what you found." Kevin turned around in his chair. His eyes were red from staring at screens all night. "It's the quantum entanglement networks," he said. "All Federation technology is connected through quantum computers that share information instantly across light years." "I know how their systems work," Sam said impatiently. "What's causing the failures?" "Us," Kevin said simply. "Human electromagnetic technology creates quantum decoherence. Every radio wave, every cell phone signal, every Wi-Fi network on Earth is like noise that confuses their quantum computers." Sam sat down heavily. As Earth's best physicist, he understood what this meant. The quantum states are collapsing because of electromagnetic interference. "Exactly," Kevin said. "And because all their systems are connected, when one quantum computer fails, it sends error signals to others. The failures cascade through their entire network." Before Sam could respond, the main screen lit up with an incoming message. Ambassador Crix appeared, but he looked nothing like the calm, confident alien they had met months ago. His blue skin was pale, and his 4 arms moved nervously. "Earth representatives," Crix said. "We need to speak immediately. The situation has become critical." Admiral Murphy stepped forward. "We're listening, Ambassador." The Federation Council is in emergency session. Several member worlds are experiencing complete infrastructure collapse. Our defense systems are offline, our communication networks are failing, and our cities are losing power. Sam felt a chill run down his spine. "How can we help?" Crix was quiet for a moment. When he spoke again, his voice was different. Less proud, more desperate. "We need to understand what is happening. Our best scientists cannot explain these failures. Your people seem to know something we do not." Kevin looked at Sam and the Admiral. "Should I tell him?" Sam nodded. "Ambassador, the problem is electromagnetic interference from Earth. Our radio waves and electronic signals are disrupting your quantum computer networks." There was a long silence from the alien diplomat. "That is impossible. Our quantum systems are shielded against all known forms of interference." Not against the kind of electromagnetic noise human civilization produces, Kevin said. You never encountered anything like it before because no other species in the Federation uses primitive electromagnetic technology. Another voice joined the conversation. Commander Zekthul appeared on a second screen, but the proud Valian warrior looked defeated. His metal and crystal body was dimmed, and his voice was weak. Human engineers, he said, and the word human no longer sounded like an insult. My homeworld is dying. Our defense grid failed yesterday. Ancient enemies who we defeated centuries ago are moving ships toward our system. Without our shields and weapons, we cannot protect ourselves. Admiral Murphy exchanged looks with Sam. The aliens who had mocked human technology were now begging for help. Commander, Sam said carefully, what kind of backup systems do you have? Anything that doesn't rely on quantum computers? Zekethol made a bitter sound. We eliminated all non-quantum technology generations ago. It was inefficient, primitive. We believed quantum systems were superior in every way. But now you have no backup when the quantum systems fail, Kevin said. Correct, the commander admitted. We have made ourselves completely dependent on technology that your presence has rendered useless. Meanwhile, on Earth, Pete Johnson and his team were working frantically in the Chicago power station. The alien quantum generators had failed completely, but the old human electrical grid was still running perfectly. It's ironic, Pete said to his assistant Maya Patel as they checked the old power systems. They wanted us to replace all this primitive equipment with their advanced technology. Maya nodded, looking at the readouts from the human generators. Lucky we kept the old systems running during the transition period. Yeah, Pete agreed. Good thing we're too stubborn to throw away anything that still works. His radio crackled to life. Pete, this is Kevin. Are you there? Pete picked up the radio. I'm here. What's the situation? The Federation is asking for our help. Their quantum systems are failing everywhere, but our electromagnetic technology is still working fine. Pete looked around at the aging human equipment that was keeping Chicago's lights on. Steam generators, copper wires, basic electrical systems that were over 100 years old. Technology the aliens had laughed at. Tell them we'll help, Pete said. But they're going to have to do things our way. Back on Nexus Prime, more Federation leaders were joining the emergency conference. Representatives from a dozen alien species appeared on screens, all looking desperate and confused. The situation is worse than we initially reported, announced a gray-skinned alien that Sam recognized from their first meeting. Our medical systems are failing. Food production networks are offline. Climate control systems have stopped working on multiple worlds. Sam realized the full scope of the disaster. The Federation hadn't just built advanced technology. They had made themselves completely dependent on it. When the quantum networks failed, entire civilizations were helpless. We need immediate assistance, Ambassador Crick said. Our people are suffering. Some worlds may face complete societal collapse within days. Admiral Murphy stepped forward. We'll help you, but we need to do this properly. You'll have to accept that human technology, what you called primitive, might be your only solution. Commander, Zekthul appeared on screen again. This time his voice held something that had never been there before. Humility. Admiral Murphy, Dr. Carter, Engineer Lee, he said formally. On behalf of the Valian Empire, I apologize for our previous dismissal of human capabilities. We were wrong. Your technology may be our only hope for survival. Sam looked at the screens showing desperate alien leaders who had once mocked humanity's achievements. The galaxy's most advanced civilizations were now depending on the species they had considered primitive. Kevin, Sam said, start making a list of every human engineer and electrician on Earth. We're going to need all of them. Kevin nodded and began typing. What about the electromagnetic interference? Won't our presence make their problems worse? Sam thought for a moment. Not if we replace their quantum systems with electromagnetic ones. Human technology that works alongside radio waves instead of being destroyed by them. Admiral Murphy smiled, grimly. Looks like duct tape and copper wire just became the most valuable technology in the galaxy. The crisis was far from over, but for the first time since the failures began, there was hope. Human engineers who had been mocked for their primitive methods were about to become the Federation's saviors. 1 year later, Captain Jake Miller stood on the bridge of the first human-designed ship built for the Galactic Federation. The vessel looked nothing like the elegant alien ships he had seen before. It was practical, sturdy, and built to last. Most importantly, it worked. Captain Miller called Captain Tony Ross from the navigation station. "We're approaching Valian Prime. They're ready for us." Jake nodded and looked out at the planet below. A year ago, this world had been on the verge of collapse. Now lights twinkled across its surface again, powered by human-designed electrical grids that could withstand anything. "Take us down, Tony," Jake said. "Let's see how our work is holding up." The ship landed at what used to be called the Quantum Port, but the aliens had renamed it New Chicago Station in honor of the human engineers who had saved their world. Pete Johnson was waiting for them at the landing pad, along with a group of Valian workers. "Jake," Pete called out as they left the ship. "Good to see you again." Jake shook his old friend's hand. Pete looked tired but happy. He had spent the last year traveling between alien worlds, teaching their people how to build and maintain human-style technology. "How are things going here?" Jake asked. Pete gestured toward the city beyond the landing pad. "See for yourself. Full power, reliable communications and backup systems that actually work when needed." Commander Zekthul approached them, but he looked very different from the proud warrior Jake remembered. The Valian moved more slowly, and his crystal and metal body showed signs of wear. More importantly, his attitude had completely changed. "Captain Miller, Engineer Johnson," he said, bowing his head respectfully. "Welcome back to our world. We owe you a debt we can never repay." Jake felt uncomfortable with the alien's gratitude. "We just did what needed to be done, Commander." "What you did," Zekthul replied, "was save our entire civilization. When our quantum systems failed, we had nothing. No power, no defenses, no hope. Your people gave us all of that back." Pete pointed to a group of young Valians working on a power generator. "Commander Zekthul's daughter is one of our best students now. She can rebuild an electrical motor from scratch." The commander's eyes brightened with what Jake realized was pride. "She says human engineering is like art. Simple, but beautiful in its reliability." They walked through the city and Jake saw the changes everywhere. Instead of the perfect gleaming structures from before, the buildings now had a more practical look. Thick power cables ran along the walls, backup generators sat ready in case of emergencies, and maintenance panels were easy to reach. "It's not as pretty as before," Pete admitted, "but it works. And when something breaks, they can fix it themselves." They visited the defense center, where Valian soldiers were learning to use human-designed weapons and shields. The energy barriers were gone, replaced by thick armor and kinetic weapons that couldn't be disabled by electromagnetic interference. "Our old enemies came when our defenses were down," Commander Zekthul explained. "But they found us stronger than before. Their energy weapons had little effect on our new armor, and our kinetic weapons worked perfectly." Jake smiled. Sometimes the old ways are better. Their next stop was Zenthari Prime, where Dr. Lisa Park was running the new Galactic Engineering Academy. Aliens from across the Federation came here to learn human technology and engineering principles. "Lisa!" Jake called out as they found her in one of the workshops. She was teaching a class of mixed aliens how to solder electrical connections. Lisa looked up and grinned. "Jake, perfect timing. I was just explaining the beauty of copper wire to my students." One of the students, a gray-skinned alien Jake recognized from their first meeting, raised his hand. "Dr. Park, why do humans use such thick wires? Our quantum conduits were much more efficient." Lisa held up a piece of copper wire. "Because this will still work in 50 years. It doesn't care about electromagnetic interference, temperature changes, or power surges. It just carries electricity from point A to point B every time." Another student asked, "But what if it breaks?" Lisa smiled and pulled out a roll of duct tape. "Then you fix it. Human engineering is built around the idea that everything breaks eventually. The question is whether you can repair it. Jake watched, as the aliens handled the tape with curiosity and wonder. What had once been a symbol of human technological poverty was now taught as advanced engineering philosophy. Later, they attended a meeting of the new Federation Council. President Ellen Davis was there via video link from Earth, along with representatives from all the member worlds. Ambassador Crix stood to address the group. 1 year ago, the Federation nearly collapsed because we had forgotten a fundamental truth. Advanced does not always mean better. Complex does not always mean superior. He turned toward the human representatives. Earth has taught us that true technological advancement means building systems that work, that last, and that can be repaired by the people who use them. President Davis spoke from the screen. We are honored to be full partners in the Federation now. But more than that, we're proud to have helped preserve civilizations that are thousands of years older than ours. Commander Zekthul stood up next. I wish to make a formal statement. 1 year ago, I mocked human technology as primitive and worthless. I was wrong. I ask forgiveness for my arrogance, and I thank humanity for saving my people despite my insults. Similar statements came from representatives of other worlds. Species that had laughed at human duct tape and copper wire were now praising them as examples of engineering wisdom. After the meeting, Jake found himself alone with Kevin Lee, who had become the Federation's chief technology advisor. Do you ever miss the old quantum systems? Jake asked. Kevin shook his head. Not really. They were impressive, but they were fragile. One small problem could bring down an entire civilization. Our systems might be simpler, but they're stable. Jake looked out at the stars through the station's window. Human ships moved between the worlds now, carrying engineers and supplies. Earth had gone from being the least important member of the Federation to being its technological backbone. You know what the best part is? Kevin said. What's that? Kevin smiled. When something breaks, we can actually fix it, Jake laughed. With duct tape and determination. Exactly, Kevin agreed. The two most powerful technologies in the galaxy. As Jake prepared to return to Earth, he thought about how much had changed. The aliens had learned to value reliability over complexity, function over perfection. And humans had learned that their simple, practical approach to technology wasn't something to be ashamed of. It was something to be proud of. The Federation was stronger now, built on principles of cooperation and respect rather than technological superiority. And at the heart of it all was a simple truth that humans had always known. The best technology is the kind that works when you need it most, even if it's held together with duct tape.